Welcome to War of the Stars, a Star Wars podcast, coming to you every week from deep within the Outer Rim, far beyond the watchful ice of the Galactic Empire. Join your hosts, John Mark Tolley, Garrett K. Jones, and Brian Karasik, as they discuss the various facets of the saga's lore, characters, review the films, and discuss every tidbit of news coming out of Lucasfilm. And remember, this isn't just my Star Wars, this isn't just your Star Wars, this is our Star Wars. Indeed, once again, our Star Wars. My name is John Mark Tolley, joined as always by my now two amazing co-hosts, Brian Karasik, back with us once again, and Garrett K. Jones.
Yes.
And I hope you guys had a good holiday season, a good Easter, Passover. What other holidays are around this time here? I'm not sure.
A feast of maximum occupancy.
Okay.
Church of the Independent suspension.
I did not have anything for that. That was great.
Brian, can I just ask a quick question?
By all means.
Is there a random sandwich in your chair behind you?
No. That is a hat.
Oh, it's a. I couldn't tell what's that.
I thought that was a sandwich too.
I was like,
Oh my god! Oh, that's so good.
I'm like looking at it like.
This, by the way, is the most esoteric part of my Star Wars collection because this is a chair from the 70s, which was my Death Star when I was a kid. I got in a lot of trouble for filling this thing with my Star Wars figures, and every time my dad sat in, he got jabbed with a little plastic gun. And, I have since been bequeathed this chair and had it reupholstered and restuffed and everything. So now it's more appropriately colored, but it was my Death Star as a kid, so that's why it's in my Star Wars collection.
Nice.
There's something I do for fun every year on the Sith Library, and I don't know if anyone was following this, but I did want to share this with folks for posterity.
Okay.
Because this is something fun I do every year at Easter. Now I realize this doesn't paint me in the best light, but I love when people share this sort of a thing, like to guilt you into boosting their content.
Mm-hmm.
So I post this every year at Easter, and often it is reported. but I have a really good time with this one, and the numbers are wrong. It usually gets shared quite a lot, but I did want to. I'm really proud of this because one of the comments was this, which is also my meme. So I'm pretty pleased with that. That's a special kind of winning when somebody responds to your meme with your meme. So I like that one a lot.
Yes.
I was inspired by, I'm sure you've seen the joke where somebody, I don't know if it is accurate or not, but somebody has a sort of Jesus-y looking picture of Obi-Wan, and they're like, I just replaced this on my grandmother's mantle. Like, well, technically Maul did return from the dead because when he died in episode 1, we didn't know he wasn't dead for 8 years or so until he came back. And then by that point, it may as well have been a resurrection.
Yeah, my ex-wife's family has a picture of Jesus. Now, keep in mind they're LDS, but this particular portrait bears a striking resemblance to one Harrison Ford. And I always, every time I walk by it, when we were so married, if I would walk by it, I'm like, hail Han Solo, him of the bearded stature.
Well, we've made these jokes before. Whenever someone says, may the force be with you, there is always a portion of me that wants to say, and also with you.
And also with you.
I do it.
Yeah. They actually did. I think it was the Mandalorian. They did that.
Oh, did they?
Someone
I
said,
missed that one.
I can't remember what episode. I can't remember season 1 or season 2, but someone says, may the force be with you, and someone responds with, and also with you.
Huh.
I think ever since Yoda 2, it's actually end with your spirit.
Yes.
That's a deep cut for my Catholic friends out there. Anyway, moving on.
Yes. So welcome everybody. We are we're actually not going to be talking about Sith stuff today, although I'm sure Brian will try to find some way of finagling that in the conversation.
Oh, I will.
We're actually going to be talking about the lore of the Ewoks, those cute, cuddly, fuzzy little teddy bears from Return of the Jedi. And if you have a certain...
mean
what?
What you mean? Those scary, cannibalistic,
savages?
little monsters.
Cannibalistic though?
Well, okay, maybe not cannibalistic in the sense that they eat human flesh.
Well, that wouldn't make them cannibalistic because they're not eating each other.
I think you'll find cannibals are animals which eat their own species, which is it's in the air.
True.
I'll give you predatory, carnivore,
predatory.
Yeah.
Carnivorous,
man-eaters.
Although based on their teeth, I would think that they're more omnivorous.
Omnivorous, yeah. Even before we see the Stormtrooper helmets, the dress they gave Princess Leia fit. They didn't make that for her. That was not an Ewok dress. Somebody had that dress before she did.
Yes.
And she never questions.
Nope. And did you watch the Forces of Destiny, the cartoon series, little shorts?
Mm-hmm. I have not.
Yeah.
In that they show that scene where she gets the dress and she's like, "Hey, great dress. Does it come with a spear?" Like the first thing she does is like, "Where's the weapon?" I like that.
Yeah, I didn't have. Did you? Okay, so before we jump into any of the lore, any of you guys have any of the Ewok figurines?
Almost all of them.
I did not.
I had. I don't remember his name.
My cousin did.
Oh, your cousin did? I had the gray and striped Ewok with the pig hat, and I don't remember.
I think it's low gray.
Yeah, I think you're right on that. But yeah, I had him, and I remember you could remove the hat, and it would fit really nicely and snugly, and yeah. Is it low gray?
Yes, that is low gray. The Ewok medicine man. Oh wait, no, the pig hat was Tebow.
Tebow.
Yeah.
Okay. I wonder if that's his rap name or his real name.
See, they call me Tebow in these streets.
In these trees.
That's his club name.
They can't get him to stop. So here's the topic at hand that I wanted to bring up. One of the things I wanted to address with this, because I mean we get a little bit of lore between Return of the Jedi and the two Ewok adventure movies that were made straight for TV. But before we jump into that, I want to talk to you guys about your mindset towards the Ewoks, what your take on it was, because like if you're of a certain age, either they land really, really well for you because they are, you were a child when you were exposed to them, or they're kind of like that obnoxious goofball type insert that Jar Jar Binks kind of was supposed to be, but may not have succeeded at being.
Are you referencing the Ewok line from How I Met Your Mother, Garrett?
Yes, I am.
Folks, the Ewok line correlates the birth year of a person and the subsequent appreciation of Ewoks. Those born on or before May 25th, 1973 have a low appreciation of the film's creatures, while those born after that date have an affinity for them. This is because those who saw the Ewoks in Return of the Jedi released theatrically on May 25th, 1983, who were 10 or under, still love their teddy bears, giving them an increased appreciation for the Ewoks. This is discussed in the show How I Met Your Mother when Barney is dating a woman named Nora, who betrays his belief in this theory because she is British and did not encounter them until later in her life.
Yes.
I'm a big fan of that show. I'm currently listening to the How I Made Your Mother podcast, which is run by Josh Radnor and one of the creators of the show. They're doing a nice rewatch of it.
Nice.
That's a great question, though. John Mark, where were you with the Ewoks?
I am Honestly, I'm the weird one. I'm just kind of like, they're there. Like they help the plot. They help the plot, and honestly, I do agree with, like, I know that initially he wanted them to be Wookiees, but I think Ewoks work better because they're small, because they're they're more primitive. They work better for what George was trying to do, is having this sort of primitive culture that can defeat the Empire in this battle. I think they work better for that. The fact that they're small, the fact that they're primitive,
they're fanatically delicious.
Exactly. But yeah, they're like, I never had a problem to them. I'm not necessarily someone that's like, yay, Ewoks, but I'm just they're cool.
If the Empire had 20 years and unlimited resources, I think we could have replaced the Ewok regime with the Ewok regime. All right, somebody out there is mad at me. I know that. It's fine. Neither of you have to laugh. It's okay.
For me, the Ewok. I mean, I was one when Return of the Jedi came out, and so the Ewoks were they were like, kind of like Mark said, they're there. You just kind of take them in stride, and you just accept them for what they were. I didn't think, for me, it didn't resonate that they were anything like teddy bears for me. Although now as an adult, I kind of do. But the thing I thought was interesting was how, as adorable as they were, especially like the walklings that we see in during the campfire story later on, they kind of intrigued me, because you have this a primitive race of beings, but they're not so primitive that they don't recognize the necessity of using other technology. Like, I mean, we see one recognize that, hey, there's a speeder bike down there. I don't know what it does. I just know it goes really fast and flies. Let's see what happens when I use it to distract the bad guys. Mm-hmm. And then you see them using guerrilla tactics when trying to take down Imperial walkers and other forces. And I think that's kind of cool, because it reminded me very much of the French and Indian War to a degree. I had fun with it when I was in high school, because I was playing the West End role playing game, and I was game mastering one particular session when I was in high school.
I played that too.
And I decided I was going to have some fun with it, and I merged a small larval parasite into the storyline. Wicket, in this particular storyline, my players found themselves on Endor, and Wicket happens to find this leathery, slime-covered ovoid thing next to a tree, and finds himself parasitized with a face hugger. I had some fun with that.
Oh man, an Ewok engendered xenomorph would look cool.
It would look very cool. It would look really short and stocky. And the first thing it would be doing upon emerging from a chest cavity is looking for a spear.
I was 9 when Return of the Jedi came out. I was already cosplaying Palpatine. I had been Palpatine for Halloween 2 years. I was Palpatine for Halloween in 80 and 81. So, according to the Stinson Ewok line, I was of age to appreciate them, but I was not particularly enthralled by them for the cute factor. I did think they were very interesting as an indigenous insurgency, and I thought it was interesting that they had the log deadfall that crushed the ATST, because they didn't just do that. Like, they didn't create that trap. They had that pre-existing. So I'm interested to know what they're hunting with that device that wasn't the ATST. Like there's that mechanism pre-existed the Empire, or at least pre-existed that day. So clearly that mechanism was designed to take out another target, and I think that's pretty interesting. What that was intended for.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love. There's a short story and a really good meme of like what it was like for the stormtroopers who are used to laser gun battles, and they're not used to these little savage monsters tearing them apart, and they just, you can tell they just didn't know what to do with them. It was an interesting tactical story to me.
Yeah,
I thought they were cool. I didn't have anything against them. I wasn't like, oh, they're too cutesy. I thought they were fine, and I did have almost every figure. I could never get a Paplu, or there was one little the cutest one. I never could get my hands on that one, but I had those guys, and I had the glider, and I had the tree, the tree thing. So yeah.
What I thought was
time into the Ewoks, but I was definitely not enchanted by them. They were a fun part of the storyline, but I had already. No, I didn't have it yet, but in fact, I'm certain that some of the Ewok figures I had contributed UPC symbols to mail in for my Palpatine figures. So I was already on a path to my destiny.
Yes. So one of the things I thought was interesting was the way that they were incorporated in the mid '80s in the Ewok solo projects. I mean, we had three different projects in the '80s. We had the Ewoks cartoon series on ABC, and then we also had the two Ewok adventure films, and then
in my mind, and now I want to make a figure of it, but in my mind I conflate the Ewoks cartoon with the Gummy Bears cartoon.
Dude, Gummy Bears was epic. I'm trying because I can't remember the names of the parents, what those films were called. Because we had the Ewoks are mentioned in Star Wars: The Clone Wars in an episode called "Missing in Action." Let's see here. They do appear in Star Wars Battlefront on Endor, which, if you've ever played the 2015 Star Wars Battlefront, like when they place you on Endor, it's in the middle of the night and it's raining. And the only thing I can think of is from this meme that I've seen on the internet, where it's all fun and games where you're hanging out with your stormtrooper buddies until the trees start speaking teddy bear. Just like, holy crap! Like, I mean, like I want to see those stories of the stormtroopers just marching through the woods, and all of a sudden, like one or two of them are getting picked off out of nowhere. You gotta imagine Ewoks are they're adept hunters, and especially in their own backyard. They probably didn't leave a whole lot of sound or trails behind them.
No.
So I can only imagine how dangerous and deadly they are.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I know that's always the joke of like, oh, how could a these tiny teddy bears take down a this technologically advanced military, but you could say the same thing about the Viet Cong in Vietnam.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. They would appear, they'd take somebody out, and then they'd hide in like a foxhole or something that's been covered over with leaves, and you wouldn't even know where they went.
Well, and I can't remember the movie, and I'm paraphrasing it, but there was a movie that was a kind of Vietnam era movie, and there's a scene where these guys are talking and they're watching the news, and one of them says, it's like, how are we getting defeated by an enemy that's willing to throw spears and shoot bows and arrows at a helicopter? And the other guy says, how do you defeat an enemy that's willing to shoot bows and arrows at a helicopter? And you can say the same thing. Like, yeah, like they're willing to throw spears at ATSTs.
Yep.
How do you defeat somebody that's willing to do that, to go to that level to defeat you?
Well, and then jumping back, I mean, the same thing applies to if you look back at Aliens. I mean, that same sentiment. I mean, Aliens is just it was a stand-in for a Vietnam War, only set in space. Instead of the indigenous of being humans, they're scary monsters from beyond time and space. But
I didn't see that.
Really?
I mean, I saw the movie. I didn't see the Vietnam analogy.
Yeah. Like James Cameron has famously talked about how he made it a Vietnam analogy, that you look at the xenomorphs as being the indigenous peoples living on LV-426, and they've taken over Hadley's Hope, and it doesn't matter how much firepower the Space Marines have been throwing at it, they're being picked off left and right.
Well, on another episode of a different podcast, Garrett, I need to ask you why the engineers were launching the black oil at Earth 2,000 years ago, because there was some pretty significant historical changes taking place about 2,000 years ago, and I'm interested to know whether the engineers were punishing us in one direction or the other. But we can have that on another topic.
Very different conversation.
But yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I don't much care for hearing Jim Cameron talk. I just like to watch his movies. So I've seen all the movies, but I haven't really heard any of the director commentaries. That's interesting to hear.
Yeah. There's one movie I haven't watched, but only because it came out back in December and I just wasn't going to spend money on it.
Well, one thing I will say for the Ewoks is they have an understanding of this is the planet we live on, and if this empire sticks around, we're not going to have any place to live. And they certainly have an understanding of their own ability to leave the planet and colonize others, as in it is a zero amount. So I think they're definitely willing, like, we may as well die fighting as just die.
Yeah.
So
well, because
for them.
I mean, for in that to that extent, I mean, yeah, you're right, because like any all the other alien races, it seems that the Empire has ran into, they all have something they feel the Empire feels they can contribute as slaves. Like the Wookiees are strong and tough and whatever.
Well, the Wookiees are also
the Ewoks do.
Engineers.
Wookiees or Ewoks are nothing more than pelts. I mean, they're pure raw material. Yeah. There's nothing. They're not trainable. They're not strong enough to do much. I mean, there's some pretty cool fan art of Ewok Siths out there, but I wouldn't go.
I can't imagine that would be really weird to see an Ewok as a Force user, especially as a Sith. Like, how is that going to work for them? Like the moment they bathe, their Sith tattoos go away. Right.
I don't know. I think they'd probably shave them down for the tattoos.
A bald Ewok. I don't know.
Also, when would they bathe? They'd come out looking like the Snuggle Bear.
I'm getting.
Somebody did a picture of Chewbacca after a bath, and he was just like poof.
Like I'm imagining if you shaved an Ewok, it would look a lot like a Shih Tzu after having been shaved down.
Yeah.
No, to me, have you seen the picture of the shaved Wookiee?
Have you seen what?
The picture of the shaved Wookiee.
Yes. Oh, that is terrifying.
Oh, dang it! I had almost forgotten about it. Darn it.
Hold on.
That's funny. That's funny.
I think I really like how ferocious the Ewoks are, because there's such a great dichotomy between the intended marketability of their cuddliness with the story necessity of their ferocity. And I really do like that. And Garrett, I'm gonna piggyback on what you said about their willingness to, their understanding of technology. I don't know how to use this, but I know that it's going to be useful, and things that they do have an understanding of things that go fast doing damage, right? Any species that uses a spear has an understanding of projectiles. And if you have a hover sled style projectile, faster means hits harder. They clearly have a solid grasp of that. Yeah. I do think it's interesting, and we've discussed this before, but it's one of my favorite things to talk about in Star Wars is the split between technology. Like, The Gungans are a perfect example of that. We see the Gungans in episode 1 and 2 mostly. These are people who have personal shield technology, which we do not see a lot of species have that. The handheld force shield.
Yeah.
They have the glowing balls, the pink marbles that they throw. One of them can take out an entire landing tank. But the method of delivery of these balls is slings and trebuchets. Like it's such an antiquated method of delivery. I think that's the split between, we have these cool plasma balls, but the way that we transport them is by twanging blankets across a field, and I think that's awesome. Similar to my other favorite trope in Star Wars is when you have a hover sled that's being pulled by a beast of burden. Like we've mastered anti-gravity, but forward propulsion is just beyond us.
Going back to the Gungans, though, I mean, think about this. Those orbs were meant to be localized EMPs. And so why would you use something more sophisticated than a trebuchet or a slingshot to launch those when, if it's mishandled, it could disrupt the entire use of that technology?
Well, if you have use for a localized EMP, why would you not want that localized EMP to be localized further away from you?
Because, well, they're using it as a projectile is why.
Right. So, hence, I guess I'm not understanding your question. Like any projectile you would also want it to be further away.
Right. But I think what I was, maybe I'm misunderstanding, but it sounded like you were talking about a disconnect between having this really cool technology and then using something as basic as a trebuchet.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, that's the whole point is, why would you use something more high tech than a trebuchet or a slingshot?
I see now.
The mishandling by a specific Gungan named Jar Jar Binks could inexorably destroy your ability to launch it. If you had
I bet there's a lot of rules named after him.
Oh, I would have to guess you're probably right on that one.
Have you seen the theory that he's a drunken master warrior?
Yeah, and I think that's come up a couple times too.
I really like that. Yeah. I don't agree with it. I do have a Jar Jar Binks on order to convert into a Jar Jar Sith for my collection, but
don't be that guy.
I'm that guy.
Darth Jar Jar should not be a thing.
Well, I mean, I have a penguin and a llama. I'm gonna have to go with the Jar Jar too.
Do something way cooler like a chinchilla or a panda.
Well, I'm gonna go with a cat. I'm definitely gonna do a cat.
That makes sense. Cats are notoriously
the penguin and the llama is also an in joke for me because I never could learn the Swahili words to the Lion King the opening song. Mm-hmm. So I just go with, oh my God, a penguin and a llama.
Hey, be careful. Someone's getting sued by the guy who sang that.
Oh, I heard about that. Well, good for him.
Yeah. He's been, people have been cracking jokes about that left and right and center, even on SNL. And this one Nigerian stand-up comedian is getting blasted because it's like an ethnic thing, I guess. I don't know.
We always would just go Pennsylvania.
That's good. We saw Lion King on Broadway, and the words to that song are basically just, "Hey, look, it's a lion.
Yeah,
it's a lion. It's a lion." It sounds much better in Swahili.
Yes.
When my daughter was younger, she watched a lot of the Lion Guard, the Lion King TV show.
Yes, so did Lily. So did my daughter.
And she's saying things to me in Swahili. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, I get her a glass of water. She's like, Asante, father. I'm like, well, what? Who's teaching you this?
Well, we hope you guys are enjoying the Lion King podcast.
Yeah. This is King of the Lions podcast. I do. So there's a little bit away from the lore of the Ewoks, but how do we feel about the Ewoks blinking? Does it add that much to the storyline?
Well, I mean, did they actually blink in the movies?
Only in the special edition.
I mean, I think it gives it a little bit more realism that they're tangibly there, because I mean, otherwise you just got staring at you, and it's like, dear God, why blink, please?
Yeah, I wasn't sure it needed to be done, but I do like I like the nods to the primitives, like they worship C-3PO because he's shiny.
Yeah.
I made a meme of Captain Phasma going to Endor. She's like, "Hang on, we have to go by Endor. I heard something. I gotta try." And then cut to C-3PO. What do you mean she's shinier?
Yeah, I thought that was kind of neat. That was because like I was looking up the information on their culture from Wikipedia, and I don't know how accurate this is. I know it's based off of whatever um, information has been provided. But it says here, by the time of the Galactic Civil War, the Ewoks had reached a level of civilization where they engaged in religious, artistic, medical, and even political activities and spoke in their own native tongue of Ewokese. Nevertheless, they still focused most of their energies on daily provision of food. They had acquired knowledge of pottery, hunting, and construction of complex wooden structures, and the creation of fire. Uh, while while most of their lives would be spent in the treetops, several members of the tribe would be required to venture out on the forest floor to forage for berries, gather herbs, and hunt. During the warm summer months, some Ewoks stayed in fishing villages or hunting and farming lodges on the forest floor. So basically, they're the Native Americans of the galaxy.
Mm.
And it does talk about them being a deeply spiritual people. They were I wouldn't categorize them as people. I mean, they're definitely adorable, but not people. And it's like my cat thinking he's people.
They worship a god named Ruxpin.
Right? They revered the surrounding giant trees and believed themselves to be descendants of the Great Tree, a sacred tree in the forest. Oh, so this is where James Cameron got it. Got it. Lucas should sue. The legend of the Golden One told of a deity that allowed the Ewoks to live in light. The Golden One's opposite was the adversary, a deity representing darkness and death.
The adversary, that was taken.
Yeah. Together, the two struck a deal to share Endor equally, representing the Force's natural cycle of death and renewal. After C-3PO and his rebel allies arrived and led the Ewoks into the Battle of Endor, a legend told of the Golden One had returned to answer their prayers. The conifer trees where Ewoks lived were also fire-resistant and served as a natural insect repellent. That's a random statement, but okay. So yeah, it's kind of interesting that they had this cycle of birth and death and darkness and light and all that. It would actually make a lot of sense because if anybody saw Vader show up on Endor like he did midway through Return of the Jedi, it would make sense that they would consider him the embodiment. And at that point, though, if I was an Ewok chieftain, I'd be like, holy crap, our one best and our one worst gods are both on the planet at the same time. Holy crap, let's run.
And our first best god is an idiot.
Yeah, C-3PO. What a tool.
Well, I hadn't heard of that about their religion. That's interesting. I didn't know that they were deeply spiritual. Although I don't know, it's kind of a cop out to make like an indigenous people be deeply spiritual. Like, do they have to be deeply spiritual guys worship?
I know, right? Like, I mean, you could have made them like the Sentinelese, who you show up in their environment and they just up and kill you just because you're there.
Yeah.
Although that would make a lot more sense. It would be a lot more fun, but not as helpful for the rebels.
The story. Yeah.
Just don't get me started on the people of Papua New Guinea. They know what they did.
Yes, they do. I'd be more worried about the people of Tahiti.
I do actually have beef with Papua New Guinea, but take that offline.
What did they do? Did they like steal a Palpatine figure from you or something?
Close. I had an opportunity to fly off the ship 2 weeks early and spend 2 weeks hanging out at Royal Australian Air Force Base Pierce instead of living on board the aircraft carrier for 2 extra weeks with a bunch of dudes. And Papua New Guinea, for political reasons, denied us flyover rights. And so they did not let our aircraft fly through the airspace. And so as a result, our mission was canceled. And as a result, it did not leave the ship early. And there was not another opportunity. And so instead of 2 weeks at an Australian Air Force base, I spent 2 extra weeks on an aircraft carrier. And so Papua New Guinea on the list. Perhaps not the people thereof, but I don't know who was in power then.
What year was this?
Would have been 97.
Who was in charge?
Maybe we can research that.
Papua New Guinea in 1997. You said
1997.
His name was Bill Skate.
Oh well, that's an interesting name.
Yes, I think he was named after the sea creature.
Oh.
Because based on the way he looks, he does not look like he stepped onto a board at any point in his life.
Well, the cargo cults at the time, who knows what they were naming stuff after?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, wait, hold on. What month was this?
Oh, April. It's fine.
Oh, then it's John Gehenno.
Have you seen some people do some amazing modification work with the Ewok villages. Apparently there's a way to stack them. Like if you get multiple Ewok village play sets, you can stack them up and make quite high. I've seen some amazing like repaints, and people use like aquarium vegetation to dress it up. There's a really thriving Star Wars customization community out there, and the Ewok village is a prime beneficiary of it. When you guys played Star Wars, did you act out roles, or were you predominantly action figures?
It depended for me. I played a lot with the action figures when I was not at home. When I was at home, I would ride around on my scooter pretending to be Luke from Empire Strikes Back. So I had this cap that had like the little thing draping on the back of my neck, and I would get my spin goggles and put them on top.
Nice.
And my scooter was my tauntaun.
Absolutely, that's awesome.
Yeah. I for reasons, I didn't have a lot of the Star Wars toys growing up. Like I said, my cousin did. My cousin was about, I'd say, 5 or 6 years older than me. So we, for religious reasons, my mom didn't really let me have a lot of toys when I was younger.
Star Wars is of the devil.
What's that?
Star Wars is of the devil.
Pretty much. She got better. She got older, but she definitely was part of that. If you probably remember the Satanic Panic, Brian, of the 80s. My mom was very much of that. So
I played Dungeons and Dragons and video games and listened to Ozzy Osbourne and Iron Maiden.
That's because Brian's parents were cool.
They were. I got in a lot of trouble because of how cool my parents were.
But no, so they did kind of see the light eventually, speak. But yeah, but my cousin had all the toys, and I remember I think he had the Ewok village, and I think he also had Jabba's palace.
Nice.
A mentor of mine was questioned by Congress in connection with his accusations for impropriety in connection with a daycare in California.
Mm-hmm.
He was accused rather he was accused of impropriety in California in connection with a daycare where rituals were said to be taking place, and he in court demonstrated that he had been testifying before Congress as a lieutenant colonel in the Army. He was testifying before Congress at the moment that these events were said to have taken place, and the prosecution alleged that he used black magic to be in two places at once. This was an allegation made in court by a state prosecutor.
In which state was this?
California.
God, California sucks. I live here and I say it sucks.
In many ways. So yeah, that is a district attorney of California alleging that my mentor, Michael Aquino, had used black magic to be in two places at once.
Do you know which district attorney this was?
I don't. This was in the 80s. I only read the account of it and spoke with him about it.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. Like I was too young for any of the stuff that went on during the whole panic during the 80s, but like I remember as a kid in middle school, my first year of public school, like some kid, like that's when Magic the Gathering was starting to become popular, and a kid had a bunch of like spare cards from his deck. They're all duplicates, and so he's like, "Here, check these out." I'm like, "Okay, cool," and I liked the art on them. I had no idea how to play the card game. I just thought it was cool, and my mom saw them, and it was a whole stack of them, like almost about the same, probably about as much of as a deck of cards. And my mom freaked out, and she's like, no, you have to give them back. I'm like, why? They're not. She's like, because they're going to lead you down a bad path, Garrett. I'm like, Mom, you allowed me to watch Disney, and this is a problem. And she's like, well, Disney's for kids. I'm like, Mom, anthropomorphic talking animals, a sea witch going after a mermaid, a man is transmogrified into a beast, and all of his servants are turned into furniture. And this is a problem.
You know, Chip the Cup in Beauty and the Beast?
Yep.
What happened to that Chip when he turns back into a human? Where'd that injury come from?
It was a tooth. It was a broken tooth.
Do we see that tooth?
Yeah.
Sweet. I never noticed that.
Yeah. If you look at when he transforms, you can see the gap in his teeth.
Interesting. Cool. I gotta go there and watch that.
Which means it had to have been suffered before he got transformed. Otherwise, he wouldn't have had the chip.
I see. Here's another one. Why did Mother Gothel tell Rapunzel her real birthday? Entangled?
Yeah.
The entire storyline of Tangled is predicated on Rapunzel's desire to go to the city and see why they send up lanterns every year on her birthday and only on her birthday. Mother Gothel took her out of a crib. Why does she know when her birthday is?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we covered Ewoks.
I think we did too.
It's interesting. The one thing I did want to touch on, though, I love a treehouse. I love the Kashyyyk tree houses. I love the Endor tree houses. I would love to see how they're constructed because the Ewoks have stumpy little arms and legs. How are they getting up there? How are they constructing all these elaborate traps? I don't know as a criticism, like how could they possibly? I don't mean that like I don't think they could. I mean that I would love to see how they did.
Well, I would imagine that the Ewoks, despite being from a completely different planet, would have had some kind of like convergent evolution along the same lines as the Wookiees. The only difference is the Wookiees were more adept at picking up on technology.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
But there's a lot of crossover. If you look at the two cultures, there's a lot of crossover. Because like if you play through the first Jedi, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, you spend at least 2 or 3 missions on Kashyyyk, and the structures that the Wookiees use for their villages and the treetops and everything, the fact that they have a central tree that essentially it's called Home Tree, which is again where James Cameron decided to steal some ideas. And I mean, there's a lot of similarities between two cultures that are in vastly different parts of the galaxy.
Sure.
But I mean,
interesting.
But if you think about it, though, that also speaks to the wider scope on planet Earth alone, where you have different societies that all decide to build pyramids at different times throughout history without ever having any connection to one another. Egyptians, the Khmer Empire, and even the Mayans and Aztecs to a degree. So different times in history, and they all decide to build pyramidal structures to some degree.
I like the several different cultures across history have had a lizard-headed god with a handbag show up in their mythology. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I've seen that.
Like the same lizard-headed biped with a purse.
Well, if you
some of those ancient religions, I'm not a man of faith, but I will say, if someone came down from the sky and taught me how to make beer, I would get on board.
Well, I mean, if you ask Graham Hancock, it's all based on Atlantean history.
Well, we'll talk about it another time. But yeah, I like ancient Egypt type stuff, and Stargate really got me cooking, and that love the show.
Just remember, Eric Von Daniken was a complete con artist. Chariots of the Gods is a ripoff.
Oh yeah.
We'll leave it at that. Anything else we want to discuss about Ewoks before we wrap things up?
I can't think of anything.
I will say that I think the Ewoks are better suited to their level of technology. It always makes me itchy when I see Chewie working on the Falcon. All that hair in that technology, it just bugs me. It just really, like, we see him welding and stuff, like, just pull it back.
How does he not set himself on fire?
I know, or like just hair in the components. Like, I mean, I have a long hair dachshund. I'm picking hair out of everything, and
right?
she weighs 6 pounds.
I've got a cat. Like, I had to get a cabinet for my Xbox and my audio receiver for my sound system just to prevent the cat from sleeping on the air vents.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness gracious! All right.
Oh.
Well, we're gonna wrap things up. Brian. Oh, before we go into the closing, if you guys check the private chat, I did post a link for a video on YouTube. It is it's a video on building an Ewok village.
Okay.
And it's a model diorama type thing, and this guy builds it on his entire dining room table.
Oh wow!
It looks awesome.
Yeah, I'll watch that. That's cool.
Yeah, and there's a few other really good. If you look up Star Wars dioramas, there's some great videos that follow through when they do them with epoxy resin and stuff like that. So cool. Well, Brian, take it away. Tell everybody out there they can connect with you.
You can find me at the Sith Library and Archives on Facebook, and I post as Darth Carosis out there. You can also find me just recently on the Galactic Empire on Facebook, where I pose as Lieutenant Commander Merryweather, the Public Affairs Office of the Imperial Star Destroyer Crotalus. So yeah, come join me out there. I do more of the sort of mystical dark side type stuff on the Sith Library, and some more, more militaristic type things on the Galactic Empire, as one might expect. Come see us out there. We've got good stuff.
How'd you come up with the name Merryweather?
That was the name of my jester character in Dungeons & Dragons, sticking with role-playing characters I created in 8th grade. Darth Carosis was my West End game Sith. Merryweather was my Dungeons & Dragons jester.
Of course it was. I love it. As for me, you guys can get a hold of me on Instagram and X at GKJ_publishing, where I talk about my books and I talk about my show on YouTube, The Right Way, which is currently on the second week of Author Awareness April, which is an interview marathon. 4 Saturdays in April, 4 interviews. First one dropped last week with Scottish sci-fi horror author Lindsay Kinsella. Really cool stuff. He does a lot with dinosaurs. So check that interview out. It's already up on YouTube. I've got another one coming up this Saturday with Sarah Hickner, who writes rom-coms and memoirs. She has a great book out called Finding Gideon.
Nice. All right. As for us right here at War of the Stars, if you want to get a hold of us, you can do so at our email, that is warthestars1@gmail.com. Also, check us out on all of the social media, Blue Sky, Instagram, X, and YouTube at War of the Stars 77. We also, as I mentioned last week, officially now have a brand new TikTok page. I put out recently a new TikTok talking about Star Wars versus Star Trek. So check that out. That was a lot of fun to make. Making part 2 here probably tomorrow sometime, I'm hoping. We are also a proud member of Feast of Fandoms. Oh, if you want to support the show, Ko-fi.com. Yes, Feast of Fandoms. Wow. Anyway, I'm just all over the place. Ko-fi.com/War of the Stars, or go to spreadshirt.com/shop/War of the Stars, or just search War of the Stars when you go to spreadshirt.com. You can find us there. We're a proud member of Feast of Fandoms. As Garrett mentioned, check out all the shows of Feast of Fandoms. Something for every genre, really. I mean, everything from Star Wars to Star Trek to Marvel to just geek fun anywhere. We are also a member of Red 5 Network. Check out red5network.com for more information on all the shows there. Glad to be part of Red 5. Let's see. Am I missing anything?
Just coming up next week. Next week, we are continuing on with our Ewok theme. We're going to be talking about a fuzzy Wicket, specifically Wicket W. Warwick.
Yes.
So
with that being said, remember, this is not just my Star Wars. This is not just your Star Wars. This is our Star Wars. Until next week, may the Force be with you.